What's the motherfucking deal, man? It's a motherfucking Monday. You know, it is what it is, man. We're going to talk Texans training camp today. We're going to have some VIP live exclusive, you know, inside intel for y'all today. But first and foremost, man, we want to make sure everything's all good. You know, we're in here with the round table tonight. So who we got kicking us tonight with us tonight in the round table?
Finally, Spitz has come back to the sauce.
Absolutely. Already.
It's your boy Wise.
Good shit.
It's that number one shit talker, Joseph Tenney.
You got your boy there and boy.
Already. Third coach wing in the motherfucking mix. So, man, we're going to talk about plenty of stuff tonight, man. We're going to talk about what we saw. Well, not what we saw. We know the Wise Man was live on the scene today. You know, some lucky people get the damn tickets. They see Honcho name on the list. They be like, fuck that nigga. We ain't giving that nigga no tickets. That nigga be talking too much shit about us. But it's all good, man. So we're going to get some VIP live inside intel from the Wise Man. We're going to talk about a couple of things. And, of course, we're going to talk a little bit of Rockets because there's a little bit of interesting Rockets information going on, some changes and some stranges that have taken place, and we're going to talk about a couple of little things that have taken place around the league. So, man, we'll have a sauce line opened up later on for your calls and texts. You know, your texts are always welcome. You know, you can text all day long during the show. And remember, hey, you text into the sauce line is 50K sauce if it's a valid text, not just some bullshit. And if it's a legit call to the sauce line, then you get 100K sauce. And remember, whoever has the most sauce at the end of the month will get some live ass sauce merch. Speaking of fucking live ass sauce merch, I left my goddamn mug at the fucking casa. I'm mad in the business. Now I'm pissed off sauce. But we got to talk about the most important motherfucking information in the city, and that's you, man. We got to get started with the Sauce Nation roll call, man. So we're going to see who we got live in the mix with us. If you're not familiar with the roll call, man, hey, if you're from the city of Houston, the Houston, greater Houston area, shout out your side with pride. But if you're not from the city, you know, hey, let us know what's in a little bit of that digital love, man, because it's all love. It's all good. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're in the city or not, if you fucking with the sauce, man, even if you're not a Houston fan, it's all love. So let's see who we got in the mix, man, and we're going to dive into this shit. I see Wink, first and foremost, up in the motherfucking chat. Josh, KS857, Kenneth, Mr. Asian Pikachu, my favorite of all Pikachus. Is that racist? Because what if about black and white Pikachu? I don't know. Hey, whatever. J-Pac, man up. What's the motherfucking deal? Miss Voodoo, C. Anthony Bailey, Darren Davis, Balin Rios, the Coon. Let's see. Ashmel Trejo, B. Shelv, Heidi Ho, Panda Bear, what's the motherfucking deal? Hurricane Ike, you know, blowing some shit around this bitch. DeMarcus, what's the motherfucking deal? Main account. Arturo Beckett, what's the motherfucking deal? Appreciate that love, Ashmel. Oh, well, goddamn. Arturo Beckett, what's the motherfucking deal? Nathan King, what's the motherfucking deal? Texan Boy, let's see. Broderick Brooks, what's the motherfucking deal? Always good to see you. McVice, what's the motherfucking deal? Let's see. Trey, good to see you, man. What's the motherfucking deal? Savage Rock and Roll already. Make sure I ain't missing nobody here. Make sure El Lobo, what's the motherfucking deal? Always good to see. I see South Park in the house already. Mississippi in the house. Webster in the house already. Buenos Aires. Brandon Foster. El Murray, what's the motherfucking deal? Northside. Dilly, Texas already. You know what I'm saying? Papa John's, that's the best pizza in the mix. I don't care what nobody say, man. Hey, I'm still fucking with Papa John's. You know what I'm saying? If he got some beef, he can pull up. He know my address. Shit, I done ordered enough. He know where I'm at. He can come holler at me if he wants some beef. He want that smoke. But we're going to get into it, man. I appreciate everybody for showing up tonight, man. We're going to have a live ass little sauce for y'all this evening. I want to talk about a couple of things. We're going to start off with Spitz, and then we're going to go Spitz, Wise, Tenny Wink. First and foremost, a little bit of news, a little bit of, roster adjustment. DeAndrew White was cut, the guy from North Shore. I know he was a Houston guy. I know a lot of people were hoping that he would make the cut. I want to say he played at Alabama and came out of North Shore on the east side. How do you feel about it? We added Quan Bray, who's been a guy who's played with the Bills and the Colts, and I think they're looking at him more as a return guy. You have any thoughts on that, Mr. Spitz? And it's good to see you, Spitz, man. It's been a minute, man. I'm glad to have you back up in it.
Glad to be back, but I don't really know because when it comes to receivers, I think that they really just looking at the same old guys. So I'm not really too much concerned when it comes into that back end half, because I think the main competition is between Kiki, Ellington, and of course everybody's favorite punching bag, Braxton Miller. So that's what everybody's really focusing on. So that's really where it evolves around those three.
Okay, just a quick note, since it's been a minute, man, your thoughts on who's leading in that competition?
Well, I think the best receiver as of right now will be Bruce Ellington. But I think by season's end it's going to be ckin. Kickin's going to be the slot receiver, and he's going to be the return
Shout out to
specialist.
Spitz,
And
the
I wouldn't be
realist.
surprised
Wink,
if Braxton Miller's
eat
cut.
crow.
I don't think they'll cut him, but I wouldn't put it past them.
Okay. Wise man, man. Good to see you had some inside intel today, and so I don't know if you saw a change or anything special, because like we said, these are kind of lower end guys on the receiver spectrum. But DeAndre White was cut. Quan Bray was added. You were there today. Did you see anything from Bray? Did you notice anything about him, or just kind of, another guy kind of lost in the mix?
My bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My bad. My camera. I don't know what's going on, but I guess they don't like what they like. I guess they didn't like what they seen in White. When I was there today, I seen them trying Sammy Coates at kick return. I seen them trying Braxton Miller, Bruce Ellington. They had, who else they had back there? They had Irvin back there as well. They had a lot of guys. So basically, they're just trying to find a hole to something to fill that void at that kick returning position. I mean, that's something they've been working on. When I was there this morning, they started off with special teams. They did special teams halfway through practice, and then they finished off with special teams. So from what I can see is that the Texans are very keyed on fixing that special teams. As we know, last season we had one of the worst special teams. And I mean, with special teams, it plays with the field position. So that's key for the defense. That's key for the offense. I remember times where we used to get pinned into the 10-yard line all the times, and the offense would struggle to drive it down for a touchdown or a field goal. So, I mean, special teams is a huge impact, and I guess if we need a quality kick returner, why not add one?
So do you think they're kind of trying a lot of guys out just to kind of see what the situation is with Kuti there, with him being absent, maybe seeing what other options they possibly have? Tina, your thoughts on, with DeAndre White being cut, Quan Bray added, and kind of what Wise mentioned with all the special teams work going on?
Well, they probably cut White just because he probably wasn't doing anything special for him. I mean, I know people like him and stuff. Like you said, he's probably a hometown kid and stuff, and everybody just wants to get with him and, ride for him. But I think they just cut him just because he ain't doing nothing special. And then this new guy, like, I was reading a transcript from Bill O'Brien's interview, and they asked him a question about him, and his answer was, I don't know. And it was something simple about like scouting him and what he thought of him. And Bill O'Brien just straight up shot out, I don't know. So I think this is probably one of those situations where the Texans are doing Texan things that we don't like. And I'm on the fence on it. I think this is leaning towards probably a five wide receivers out, and that's probably what we'll keep for the season or the start of the season. We'll probably start with like 6 or 5. Maybe I'm leaning towards more 5, and maybe like some guys that can convert to the outside, maybe like Steven Anderson or something.
Okay. Wink, your thoughts on the cut of DeAndre White and the Texans adding Quan Bray to the mix?
Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts about it. I mean, he wasn't going to make the team anyway. He wasn't going to do anything to get on special teams or anything of that nature. So I don't really think he was going to do anything. Quan Bray, we'll have to see what we have in this guy. I don't really have any thoughts on him because I don't know who he is. But I'll be looking into Wise's opinion about him tomorrow if he sees him do anything in camp, over the next couple of days. And that's pretty much my thoughts on it.
All right. Now, I know Quan Bray, a little bit of tidbit about him. Like I said, I didn't know a whole lot, but I heard that I know he came out of Auburn, and that his pops actually ended up killing his mom when he was young. And that's pretty fucked up. But, you got to commend the man. He said, that made him a man before he was supposed to be a man. That's some shit that'll really put you in one of those kind of positions. So, hey, even if he's not a real notable name or whatever it may be, hey, I'm rooting for anybody who has been through some shit and trying to come up and trying to make a name for themselves. So, hey, he says he feels like he got a lot of game left in him. He had a little bit of time with the Bills, and obviously that's where the general manager, Brian Gaine, knows him from. He must have seen some things from him and possibly wants to give him a shot and try to see what he can do, if he can do some of those things for the Texans. So we'll see what happens with that. A very interesting thing that I've heard today, and not only from the Wise Man, but I've seen in some other places, they said that Chantrell Henderson was looking pretty good against one J.J. Watt today. I heard that Chantrell was holding it down. And that's bodes well to sound like a good sign for us. But, we'd have to see it with some consistency. Hearing something like that with everybody talking about, JJ's back in Defensive Player of the Year form, Wink, how does that make you feel about the chances of Henderson coming out and being a viable tackle for us? Or is that saying more about J.J. Watt and the situation that he's in currently? What are your thoughts on that? All right, we'll jump to Titty on that one, baby, real quick. Titty, your thoughts on Chantrell Henderson looking good today against one J.J. Watt? And, what does that bode more of a better conversation for Henderson, or is that a bad look for Watt?
Man, I think it's good for both of them because it gets J.J. started. He's been getting his reps against Henderson. So, I mean, if you wanted anybody as a whetstone, I mean, you'd have to choose J.J. Watt if you were an offensive lineman to resharpen your skills. Because we got to remember that Chantrell is coming back to the league again. He's coming off of his disease, his Crohn's disease. So, I mean, I think it's a good showing from both of them. I went back the other night and watched the replay of the Texans game and really watched him through that first quarter. And, just paid attention to what Chantrell did good and what he didn't do good. And I think Chantrell has a lot of his strength left. And I think that's in the situations where he can draw defensive ends into those situations or outside linebackers into a strength fight. He's probably going to win a lot of that. And I think it's one of those things where JJ, he can't exert himself like he was 3 years ago. He can't do that. He can't go out there and go a full 100% and try to get the sack every down. He's got to be more technically sound. He's got to be more capable with his body in the state that it's in. So I think it's JJ testing what he can and can't do, how much he should use and shouldn't use, and I think it's Chantrell getting back up on that horse and taking it forward.
Hey, Honcho, just quickly, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was probably just the area I was in. Just a quick spill. With him, I just feel like he's probably able to figure out a couple of techniques that can negate a guy's technique like J.J. Watt. He's probably getting the strength up. He's probably getting all his bearings back. And going against these guys day in, day out in camp is only going to help his technique. So hopefully everything works out for him and he can perform when the season starts.
All right. Wise. Now you had the eyes on the camp. You got to see it for yourself, authenticate the situation. It's just not speculation. You actually saw the situation. So, let us know what you saw, with JJ in camp, with Henderson, and even if he got the chance to go against some other guys. How was Henderson looking overall, and how was JJ looking overall?
I mean, Henderson was looking pretty well, and they did the O-line and the D-line drills, and the O-line went against the D-line, the starting D-line, the ones-on-ones. Also, what I noticed out there, before I even talk about Chantrell Henderson, I seen the offensive line communicating. That's very important. Is my screen freezing? My bad. It feel like it's freezing. Okay, but yeah, alrighty. But yeah, they was communicating. You seen Zach Fulton and Sunil Clemente. They was talking after practice. They had a long conversation. Chantrell was holding his own against J.J. Watt. This guy is a massive dude, though. Let me tell you. This guy, he's massive. He should be able to hold his own. He's bigger than Davenport. The offensive line did a good job holding up in practice. But when they did the full team scrimmage and J.J. Watt went against Chantrell, J.J. Watt got the better of Chantrell. like maybe half of the time, and Chantrell did half of the time because the quarterback can't get sacked in practice, and plus they was only going in shorts and tops. So I mean, the offensive line looked good. They looked more improved, but the thing I noticed the most was that communication from the offensive line, and that's key for our offensive line, having chemistry, knowing your assignments, and being able to not have to guess your assignments before even having to block a dude.
Yeah, that communication is essential. Communication rules the nation and can definitely help benefit the situation. Don't forget, let me put that sauce line number up. The sauce line is not open for calls, but if y'all want to text in, I know I'll be forgetting sometimes, leave the number up so y'all can text in. I want to make sure y'all get as much sauce as y'all can so y'all can get some of that super saucy merch at the end of the month. So, Spitz, man, how are you feeling about, hearing, because like I say, this ain't the first day. I've heard here and there little rumors that, Henderson has gotten his own, but today it seems like it was a little bit more – he had a little bit more leverage today. How does that make you feel? Is that more Henderson, kind of getting back in his groove, or is it more JJ looking a little worse off than we might have initially anticipated? How do you feel about that?
First things first, how y'all like the hat? That's the first things first. Yeah, I fuck with. That's cool. That's cool. But really, the stock I put into it is really not much. Reason being, like, for all y'all JJ fans out there who thinking we about to get 20 sack, MVP, defensive player of the year, JJ. We not. It's not because of the injury. It's more so because they're going to play him more physically sound, fundamentally sound. He's going to be playing the actual way he's supposed to play. They're not going to let him freelance. So he won't get hurt again or get hurt that quickly. So that's one thing. Two, in this type of right now we're in training camp. So these players right now are trying different things to see if this works, if this won't work. So of course, players are gonna get the best of some of these superstars because like they try new stuff. I mean, how many times have you heard in camp somebody has got the best of this player right here, but then when the season comes, that player doesn't show up anymore. The reason why he was getting the best of the quote unquote superstar is because the superstar was trying different techniques to see what can and what wouldn't work. Now, saying that, at least Henderson is not Xavier Su'a-Filo. That's all I gotta say. At least he ain't Xavier Su'a-Filo. So I do think that the offensive line is going to be better than it was in the past under Bill O'Brien. That's not saying much because the offensive line has been awful under Bill O'Brien. So I do think it's going to be better. But, I mean, I'm not just putting a whole bunch of stock into this. I want to see actual games against true opponents where he's actually doing real competition for me to judge if he is on a trajectory going up. Okay, this is an offensive line that we can win with.
So I kind of want to get into some things. We've had a little bit of time to kind of look over the preseason game. But again, it was just preseason game. One of the starters didn't see a whole lot of shine, but you saw more of the second, third, string guys like that. And as the games kind of increase until you get to the fourth preseason game, you'll see a significant amount of time from the backups again. But I think these are the chances that they have to make a name for themselves, and we can over speculate off one game. It's always fun to see if we're anticipating correctly. I want to know, in your opinion, Spitz, man, who would you expect to be a surprise cut? If we're just going off of game one and the training camps and practice that we've heard, a guy that most people would think would make this roster, but who do you think is going to be a surprise cut, and then we're going to work our way to Wise, Penny, and then back to Wings? Let me know your thoughts on that.
I would a surprise cut, probably Anderson. I think they could surprise some people by cutting Anderson and possibly I'm gonna roll Anderson because I know Anderson's made plays for this team for the past 2 years. I think they can feel extremely comfortable with Akins because what they've seen out of him, and we already know that Bill O'Brien is gun ho about Akins because he had him in the Senior Bowl, and I wouldn't be surprised if they'll cut him. I could see that being a surprise cut, or Kevin Johnson, but that's neither here nor there.
My boy Kevin Johnson, they ain't gonna cut no Pro Bowler, but it is what it is. Wise, man. Now you saw some things. You saw some very interesting things. You saw some hands-on stuff today. Who did you see today? I mean, what did you think about the practice today, and what did you see that might make you think somebody would be a surprise cut, and who would that person be in your opinion?
Just like Spitz said, Steven Anderson. I was kind of scared because I was saying that I want Steven Anderson to start at tight end. Jordan Thomas and Jordan Akins was getting all the looks in first team, even over Ryan Griffin. Ryan Griffin struggled. He dropped the ball multiple times. Also, another guy that I want to say that could get cut as well is – damn, I had it in my head. Shit. Shit. Damn. Shit. I forgot. Give me a second. I'll come back to it at the end.
Tenny, your thoughts. Oh, go ahead.
Tyler Irvin. Troy Maine Pope looks good. Troy Maine Pope got first team looks today in practice. He was doing good against the ones. He looked good in the preseason game. This guy has speed. He can do the same thing that Tyler Irvin was supposed to do. He can stay healthy. I mean, watch out for Tyler Irvin getting cut. I wouldn't be surprised about that. So be on the lookout. He didn't look too well.
Okay. And it's been an unfortunate situation for Tyler Irvin, man. Just repeatedly having the injuries and not really getting a chance to display what he's capable of doing. You know, I know they wanted him to be kind of that X factor. I think they kind of wanted him to be a Sproles type guy, in my opinion. I don't know exactly, you know if that was the plan, but that's what I kind of thought they wanted to use him for. But the injuries, I think, have kept him out, and then now you got a guy who's came in and showed that he's capable of doing and has done in the league a little bit. It's going to be a bad situation for Tyler Irvin. Tenny, man, who's the surprise cut in your opinion, and why do you think that?
So the surprise cut, I was thinking Anderson because Griffin's a long shot just because they paid him some money last year. And going forward with this, I don't want to just say Anderson throughout the whole thing, but you got to really sit down and think about this. Like, look at our team and look around at who we got and what we don't really need right now. And I'm thinking that we may have some surprise cuts with some known names that have been around on us and have been playing for us for a little while. So if I had to say anything, man, I'm thinking with the wide receiver coming in and just off what I think, we could be looking at Braxton Miller or Sammy Coates. As much as we've heard about both of them, as much as we saw Braxton Miller get the distance away from his cornerbacks in that game, we may be ending up with a surprise cut at wide receiver.
Well, that'll be very interesting. Very interesting. Wink, your thoughts on who will end up being a surprise cut when the big chop happens at the end of camp?
Honestly, I would think Ryan Griffin, regardless, because it seems I don't see a situation where
they have cheese in the crust.
Yeah, I don't see a situation where Ryan Griffin outplays
pour honey on it and eat that for the dessert.
Steven Anderson. I just don't see it. I see him picking up his slack. I see him really focusing on making the catches when he gets his opportunities. And it's clear that Ryan Griffin is not performing right in the shit. So, I mean, honestly, I see him getting cut. I never thought he should have got re-signed anyway, and it would be a joy to see him get cut. And maybe if we have to cut Tyler Irvin, I wouldn't be surprised with that either.
I think they will save Anderson. I mean, not save Anderson, but save Griffin. As of all the tight ends, he's the best blocker. So I think that will save him because Anderson and Akins both can't block, and I don't think Griffin's a great blocker, but he's the best of them. Let's say that's what's been saving Alfred Blue for all these years. He's good at pass blocking.
Okay. But like, how much better? I mean, really, just looking at Griffin. But how great of a blocker is Griffin really?
Well, that's why I think like CJ was a better blocker. That's why CJ was the better tight end.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's the best of the guys that we have. He's the best of them. That's not saying much. I'm just saying the best of them.
I actually want to point out, man, Akins was getting some good blocks in that preseason game. He was actually getting up inside them guys' pits and locking up right at the pads and was like holding them still. He wasn't getting any movement from left or right. So, I mean, it's something I guess he was probably working on coming into camp, and it translated into that game. I'm telling you, man, he was getting out there and locking them up right underneath the pads the way you're supposed to hold somebody to get that legal hold.
Okay, that's very interesting. But like I say, man, a couple of those I can agree with Irvin, because Irvin, you know, like I say, the health issue has been kind of a thing with him. He hadn't had a chance to really show off what he can do, and with Pope coming in and just, I mean, looking spectacular, that's definitely a hurter. Miller, I think Miller kind of pushed himself a little bit away from the bubble that last game he had, because he looked good that last game, and so I think, you know, maybe he's finally getting down the receiver position. As long as he can stay healthy, I think it may work in his favor. And depending on how long Kiki is out, you know, I don't know when Kiki's going to come back or if he was back. And you know how long they're going to kind of nurse that hamstring situation. That Braxton has to take advantage of that. And again, Anderson, man, like I said, I'd hate to see Anderson cut, but you know, it is what it is. But my thing is also, I wouldn't be surprised if Griffin, because if he's not just, you know, heads and shoulders above, you know, one of these guys, be as far as a blocker, or as far as, you know, if Thomas can give you that, or if Akins can give you that, you could look at him and say, well, we're paying him the most money, man. We could save a little bit of change going into the next season possibly by letting him go. So I wouldn't be surprised about that, because I know that they are definitely concerned with some of the finances. I got a couple of texts on the sauce line, man, and we're going to address a couple of these, and we're going to move on to the next topic, because I want to talk about a couple of things that have happened around the city sports-wise. Jack Tripper texted in. He said, man, do you think it's time to get rid of the fullback position? I'll throw that one up as a lightning round question for the roundtable. So whoever wants to jump on that, you feel free to answer that one. Do you feel like it?
See that the use of them, I think that's a roster spot that we're wasting by having parts on this team.
I honestly agree with you, man. Like, if Jay Prosh was the kind of fucking fullback that goes out whenever he's called in to block and actually locks up the correct block, then yeah, it's worth it to keep him. But he don't do that. Like he's solid when he gets into a block and he will block somebody, but he's not blocking the right person every time his number's called. And that's a problem, especially on a team that doesn't really need that fullback. And we could use that roster spot for a fucking running back that can double as a fullback.
That's exactly what I was going to say. He ain't no Vontae Leach. Not even close.
Yeah, I want because they have the full game on YouTube. They have the full game on YouTube with the Kansas City game, and it's just like when he was. I really think specific play, and he didn't, and the play didn't even go for. I think it was just a couple.
So I want to talk about some things that's going on in the city other than football. I know we love football. Football and NFL is king. You know, we back in the mix. But finally, I know something that y'all have been wanting to know for so long. They've been asking for so long. We couldn't give you dates. You know, the man had plans. He was doing stuff on his own. He was in Africa. He was doing all kind of other extra shit. You know, but finally, Carmelo has made it official. He has signed the proper paperwork. Carmelo Anthony is a Houston Rocket. But the key thing to this whole conversation about Carmelo is the thing that everybody said wouldn't happen. The thing that everybody, he didn't do it in OKC. You got to realize Houston is not OKC, okay? One, we're a much better team than OKC. Russell Westbrook is a subpar superstar for all the accolades and everything people want to give him. Dude can't get out the first round on his own, even with help. It is what it is. But Carmelo Anthony say, hey, he ain't tripping. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. He's more than willing to come off the bench. People said it wasn't going to happen. People said, he wasn't going to get along with D'Antoni. D'Antoni didn't co-sign. He's like, I'm happy to have Melo back. We ain't got no beef. You know, Melo say, I'm going to come off the bench. I ain't tripping. I want to know if the CP3 effect is kind of what I thought, that Melo and CP3 have been talking, and, CP3 runs that second unit, and the chance, like I say, to play with his buddy, Carmelo, do you think the CP3 effect has had an impact on Melo's decision to be willing to come off that bench instead of being a starter, knowing you got guys like Eric Gordon who are stars too and in their own right? What do you feel is the factor that has changed Carmelo's mind? We'll start with Wink, and then we'll work our way back.
All the factors you just said, the fact that they retained guys like Eric Gordon and they got Gerald Green back, the fact that they cleared up the appropriate amount of space, and the fact we only got them for $2.4 million this season is absolutely ridiculous. People thought we were going to end up maxing them out, giving them a much bigger deal than we did, and it's just the power of Morey, man. This man knows what he's doing. He's the right GM for this job.
That's what we need around here.
And it's just like, man, it was a matter of time. I'm glad they got all the semantics out of the way. They got the deal done. And I was looking at, like, Max Kellerman saying, like, did we regress? We regressed in what way? I mean, we pretty much, we only lost Ariza and Muthaf. I mean, and if we get Rhino off of this deal, then it'll be a monster offseason. So at the end of the day, I don't necessarily agree with the pundits that they have on ESPN and other outlets. But Wise and the other guys been saying,
there's too much sauce.
Does anyone hear Wink speak? All I hear is CAWWWWW.
well, I need to give it the pro.
Now, Titty, I know you're not a big NBA guy, but what are your thoughts? I mean, do you have any thoughts on Melo? If not, I understand. But, what are your thoughts about Melo coming to Houston and being agreeable to come off the bench?
Nah, I thought it was pretty good, man, because, it really sets the Rockets up, just knock the Orlando Magic around, whenever they got to face them. And nah, I'm just playing. I don't know jack shit. I don't know jack shit about basketball, so I can't say what. But I do notice that whenever teams start to sign guys, it's usually because people have relationships. And from everything that I know and what I've seen as far as the talking heads, whenever I turn on ESPN or I watch Skip and Shannon and I watch fucking what's that, Nick Wright and fucking Chris Carter in the morning and stuff, and whenever they start to talk about this stuff, I mean, you really get a feel for, like, the relationships that basketball players have amongst each other, because there's only a few players out there on the court at a time. There's 5 on and 5, and they have to have these strong relationships, and I think Carmelo probably came here because of that strong relationship with CP3.
The wise man. Now, you've been telling the people, you've been trying to let them know how it's gonna go with the Melo. You've been trying to give them the news. And shout out to Breaking News, Braylon. He had some stuff to take care of. But Wise and Bray been trying to tell y'all, man. They've been trying to give y'all the game. Make sure y'all follow them on the Twitters and the Instagrams and every other thing. Let me make sure I got the announcements going so that y'all can see all that stuff. My bad if I don't have access. I'll get that going real quick. But Wise, man, what are your thoughts on Melo finally signing the deal and becoming official with it, and kind of spill your sauce on that?
First off, I need to tell Spitz to take off that Aaron Gordon jersey, that 00. But Melo's gonna be nice. I mean, you got to think about it. This guy's gonna come off the bench. He's gonna line up with CP3. We know CP3 plays the second unit. When he goes off the court, James Harden runs the offense, and then CP3 comes back on the court and runs that bench with Gerald Green. And then you have Eric Gordon, and then you have Melo, and then you have guys like possibly Zochi. I don't know who else can be the Nene. So that backup. I mean, that bench is going to be like a starting lineup. That can be the Orlando Magic. That can be the Dallas Mavericks. It can be a lot of sorry teams, though. To be honest, though, Melo's going to get his shots. We've seen guys like Gerald Green come in here and excel because it's an open offense, and you're going to get your shots where they come. And he's going to be open from the three-point line, and he's going to space out that he's going to open up the floor and space it out. I mean, he can even run the 5, and they can run a lineup with CP3, James Harden, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and Melo at the 5. So you just got to think about it. They want to say the death lineup with the Warriors. They want to say the death lineup with the Lakers. But we got our own shit. We don't need no name. We just gonna smash them in the face. And the Rockets gonna go back with that Western Conference Championship against the Warriors one more time.
Spitz, how you doing? I know you're not a Rockets fan, and that's unfortunate. But hey, you know. But as a fan of an opposing program, or not necessarily even an opposing program, we have some history. You know, it was way back in the '90s. We don't want to talk about it, championships and all, but I just want to know your thoughts. You know, I just want to know your feelings about Melo, you know, being willing to come off the bench because of the like they said, the talking heads have been saying, oh, you know, Carmelo's a cancer. If Carmelo signs to the Rockets, they actually decrease in ability to make it back to the Western Conference Finals or the Finals. He won't ever come off the bench. He's this and that. He's that. The third. You know, is that surprising to you, the fact that Carmelo has co-signed and is willing to come off the bench to play for the Rockets, what he wouldn't do in OKC just a year ago?
Okay, first off, January 27th in Toyota Center, Magic versus the Rockets. I will be there live, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, I got love for the Rockets. I don't hate the Rockets. I got love for the Rockets. And the Rockets' main thing is to get back to Game 7 against Golden State. And last time I checked, when that game happened, Muthaf was a not play, and Trevor Ariza plays defense, but he was awful from shooting. So just from that, you get an upgrade with Melo, and that's the main thing the Rockets got to go to, is get back to that Game 7 situation against Golden State. And I think right now, especially if Chris Paul is healthy, they're in a better situation now than they was this past May. This is clear. I think that at the very least they're the second best team in the Western Conference. They're better than the Lakers with LeBron because that's all the Lakers have is LeBron. I don't trust Lonzo. I don't trust Kuzma right now as far as winning championships. I mean, like you just said, you just pointed out Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook can't get out of his own way for them to do anything. The Spurs don't have Kawhi. Who else is in the West? I mean, my twin out there in Utah is balling, but they young right now. They're not in it to win it. So right now in the West, it's going to be Golden State and it's going to be the Rockets. And Melo puts them in a better position scoring wise because remember, not only did the Rockets lose Game 7 without Chris Paul, they were a record from 3. Was it 1 for 30? And they only lost. It was a 7-point game. Like they were still in it shooting that bad. So if you put Melo in there, I'm pretty sure Melo can get you 7 points. If you get back in that same situation and also have Chris Paul playing. That's all I'm saying. So I think that this puts him in the best situation. A lot of people, like you said, a lot of people been out there saying, oh, Melo's not going to come off the bench. He didn't want to come off the bench in OKC. I wouldn't want to come off the bench in OKC. Once it's in Oklahoma City. What is it to do in Oklahoma City? And now you telling me I got to come off the bench too? At least I'm come off the bench in the city of Houston. That's just completely two different things. And then one, he was traded to Oklahoma City. Yeah, he gave up his no-trade clause, but that was more so just to really get out of New York. He just wanted to get out of New York. Yeah, he gave up his no-trade clause. And he came to Houston signing the veterans minimum as a free agent. That means he wants to be in Houston. That means he's going to do whatever it takes. And I think that he's gone past, by signing the veterans minimum, he knows his days of getting paid big dollars is over. So it's all about him trying to win because that's the only thing that's on his resume that he has not had. He's had scoring titles. He's had gold medals in the USA. He's been to All-Star games. I mean, him winning MVP is way out of there. He needs to get a championship. He needs to solidify his career by being a champion. And the Rockets put him in the best possibility he's ever been in his career. Not to mention he's playing with his best friend, Chris Paul.
Definitely several things that you have to take into account. Now, we're going to talk one more basketball topic. We're going to jump back because we got a couple of texts to address, and I ain't forgot about y'all. Make sure y'all get y'all's text. What's up, Byron? What's the motherfucking deal? James Harden has been named in a police report. Now, we know James Harden had a little issue last year. He was named in a situation with Moses Malone Jr. outside the strip club. You know, yeah, I don't know what took place. I don't know what happened with that. It is what it is. But now, you know, James Harden might be a gangster, man. We got to be careful. Who knows? Apparently, a lady has named James Harden in a police report saying that James Harden took her phone and chunked it on the roof because she was trying to film a fight I believe, at an Arizona. I want to say it was an Arizona nightclub where Harden was in attendance, and I guess he didn't want none of that shit going down. And she even admittedly said herself that because he threw it because he knew that she was going to try to sell it to TMZ. So that already should tell you about the character of that person. But he offered her $200 for the phone, which was probably a cricket, and then backdoored and gave her another $300, I believe, before the night was over with. I mean, your thoughts on just the situation. Is James involving himself in something he shouldn't be in? What do you think is going to happen overall? Will there be any legal ramifications against James, in your opinion? We'll start with Spitz and work our way back. How do you feel about hearing this little bit of information about James Harden?
I mean, like I was telling you off camera, I mean, if there's no witnesses, it's basically her word against his when it comes to any type of legal action. And then two, like, she took the money to get the phone, so she's already been paid, quote unquote, for the damages. And like you said, it probably was a little, like you said, a little cricket phone or a straight talk phone that she probably got for $50, and she just came up and gained $450. So I mean, so she already winning. So like you said, she was just trying to be thirsty. That's all it really was. Trying to catch a dub.
Wise, your thoughts on the Harden Hustling A Ho situation? Do you think there will be any legal ramification, any situation, anything that evolves out of this situation?
There's too much sauce.
Heard she tried to grab Harden's balls and flipped.
That'd be very unfortunate if she did try to grab that nigga shit. Hold on, I think Wise might tap out those for a second. I'm trying to see what's going on here. We'll jump to Tenny on that one. Then Tenny, your thoughts on anything of that as far as the situation with Harden and the photography. We'll call her photographer. We won't call her a hoe. We'll call her photographer. A filmer, director, the documentarian.
Man, I honestly don't understand why motherfuckers are trying to test these grown ass men. And basketball players is grown ass, man. They fucking huge. So I mean, like, you got to think about the situation that he's got to deal with. There's somebody who's probably always trying to test him or test the crew he's with, just because they want to make a name for himself. And then you got like little scrub ass fucking photographers running around trying to fucking catch a quick video and catch a few $100. I mean, anyways, I mean, he paid her almost $500 for that phone. Bitch probably got that bitch from fucking Walmart, probably fucking buying minutes and shit. I mean, like, just accept your $500, because I doubt TMZ was gonna drop you like a fucking grip for the fucking information you was gonna give them. They probably gonna do the same thing, give her like $500 and say thank you for this celebrity information, because they're a bunch of fucking roaches themselves.
Exactly. So she probably got the same deal she would have got out of selling it to TMZ. She can go put a down payment on a new phone. Wise, you cut out for a second. You wanted to put your input on that?
Nah, she's just trying to finesse. I mean, she's trying to come up on a low. She tried to get the free money from TMZ. You know what females like to do. I mean, anytime they're trying to get some limelight, they're going to do anything. They're going to do whatever it takes to get that money. It don't matter what they got to do. So I don't want to talk too much on that before I say something wrong.
Like Drake.
Okay. Wink, your thoughts, your opinion on the appreciate the love, Ashman, on that Harden situation.
I mean, she's on a losing end, man. When you really think about the situation, there's too many of these women doing shit like this in the public to get over on athletes, and it's unfortunate. James Harden did the right thing. He gave it to her on top of 500 shit. Who knows? The bitch was probably paying per month on her phone that she probably didn't even own from T-Mobile or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, just enjoy the little money. If she tries it because that's a small claims court. Anything under $5,000 is a small claims court. So she can try to go above and beyond to go get this money from James Harden because he's a celebrity. But in the end, she's the one who's going to come up losing. And trust me, he got a lawyer that'll tear her ass to shreds. So it would behoove her to move on from the situation and take her little $500 and go get her iPhone 8 or an iPhone X or some shit. Shut the fuck up.
Already. A couple of little things. I want to jump on some topics, man. We're going to get back to football. I know y'all want to talk football around the league. But first, we got a text, and we're going to throw this one up for the round table. So whoever wants to jump on this one says, let me word it correctly. And say if you took the time to properly text it in, I'll properly read it the accurate way. 1 second. Chandler type, he says, I got a question. How are you feeling about Jordan Akins? Do you think he stole Ryan Griffin's spot?
Prior video, when I said I co-signed my name on him, I was mainly playing because I just was tired of seeing the hate in the chat. Because chat, I'm calling y'all out on this. Y'all owe some crow. I mean, there was a lot of y'all hating on Akins like he wasn't going to do nothing special. And Akins came into that game and played a solid game, and he looked like a tight end. Like he looked like the part. And I think going forward with more opportunities, it's just only going to get him closer to being on the field at the same time with Deshaun Watson. And I think, man, if you got a fantasy league, he may be one of your sleepers to pick up in later rounds.
Okay. I'm not going to overanalyze.
For me personally, I'm not completely sold. I say do it in games that count against the better competition, against coverages that aren't vanillas. But two passes to count well within the end zone. He caught those passes. He did what he was supposed to do. He scored. That's something to be excited about. But it's not like he was marching up and down the field. It's not like he was gassing dudes on third down. He was making critical, catches, to keep, so.
Keep crowing. Akins going nowhere.
My own crow against Jordan Akins. Until he shows us when the season counts, I have nothing to eat crow.
I will put this out there. Jordan Akins did lock up a dude that allowed Pope to get the first down.
What was that?
Akins had locked up a guy on a block that helped Pope get a first down.
Okay, cool. Do it again.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
We got let's see. We got another couple of texts here. And this one here, let me see, actually asks about my fault. Actually, I swapped it up, hit the wrong thing. Okay, yeah. Says, when do you think Deontay Foreman will return?
Just don't rush that.
Deontay Foreman should not return until week 6 to week 8. There's no reason for him to rush back, especially if you got a guy in Tremaine Pope that can bring something to the table in his absence. I see no reason why he should not be in phenomenal game shape when he comes back, on top of trusting his Achilles, which takes 14 months generally to come back from in the process anyway. So, and the fact that he's a running back and he has to plant, and I don't know what type of cutter he is. I don't know if he used dorsiflexion, you know what I'm saying, or because everybody doesn't cut the same, So when we find out what type of running back, because I know he's more of a one-cut, powerful guy. You know what I'm saying? He can catch, he can do it all. He can pass block. But at the end of the day, I don't want him to be completely healthy. I want his body to be in tune, and I want him to be in game shape before he touches the field. Why do I want to see him come back from injury far too?
It's too much sauce.
Swing the hater. GTFO.
Yeah, we need to put that answer in the description, for everyone. Just be like, hey, any Deontay Foreman questions about when he'll be back? Put it in the description. At best, guys, you can expect him back after the first month of football has started. Not the preseason, after the first month of football. That's the earliest window that he can return off an injury like that.
No, I basically agree with Wink and Tinny had to say. I mean, you don't want to rush this guy back. This guy's young. He's the future running back for the Texans. I mean, why rush him back? We don't need him that bad this season. We can bring him in to have – I mean, we got to keep him it's like a certain amount of time where we got to make him available for a roster spot before the pup list actually goes out or whatever. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind bringing him back into after week 8, around that time. Give him as much time as he needs. Let him come back and bounce back to the Deontay Foreman we once knew, because I don't want to see him come back and then re-injure his Achilles, because then his career will be over.
the context, like y'all talking about him coming back, period, or coming back to form, because like those are two different things. I think he'll be back, but for him to be on the way that we seen him, the way he was going out, because the last game he played was his best game. It was the only game he started, and he looked like he was the best running back for that team until he hurt his Achilles. He looked like he was better than Lamar Miller. So I think to get back to that form will be later on in the season, around when you get entering the playoffs. This late December, January is when you're going to get that form of Deontay Foreman, because when he comes back, he's going to be a little sluggish because it's going to be over a year or around a year's time that he's played football again. Not to mention, not to mention he's been rehabbing this whole time, so he hasn't even been getting ready to play football this whole time. He's been rehabbing. So to get him back into that type of shape and back into that type of form is going to take him a little bit longer. So to get him in the position that he was in when he got hurt, you're going to talk about mid to late December, early January.
Okay, so you got to give him a decent time frame for him to get back into peak position, because I think one is coming off that injury, two is regaining form. So I mean, he could be in a position where he's good to run, like say do little drills and stuff, but it's not going to mean that he's back into the shape he was in, when he went out. And that's the format we would definitely want to see, because that's what everybody's falling in love with. This one says from Dr. Rabbit says, I read an article about the Texans today, and it said that their display was far from perfect. Personally, I think this is true. Your thoughts on their first preseason game? I would agree with that, man. I mean, one is the first preseason game, so that's not going to be your best shine. That's not going to be your best look. You're trying to see things. We're running certain plays to see, how certain guys look in certain situations. You're trying to find, who's ultimately going to be your starters, who's going to be your second string guys, because, it's guys who have been there and you feel like, okay, yeah, they're good. And you just might be surprised, though, what a guy does when the lights come on, like Duke. I mean, a lot of people, okay, we like Duke. Duke's good. He could be something. And then when the lights cut on, he looked like he's been a veteran. He looked like, he's been doing this. You know what I mean? So, some guys are practice squad, workout warriors. Some guys, again, turn it to another level when the lights come on. But, again, there were definitely several mistakes. I know Tenny had mentioned that he went back and saw some things that, even though the line was looking good, there were a couple of mistakes that they made. Matter of fact, I'll let him put his sauce on that, since it was his idea. What do you think about that, Tenny?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's true. We were not a perfected product out there on the field. I mean, it was something to feel good about because football was back. But, like, when you go back and look at, Julian Davenport was struggling against the rush a little bit. He was getting pushed back in the pocket right into the lap of the quarterback. I mean, you look at Chantrell Henderson. I mean, he was dealing with guys who were getting a little quick on him, could get on that outside pretty fast on him. I mean, but he had the strength to get down the field. Like, whenever they ran the ball, I mean, you could see Chantrell going down there 5-7 yards. I mean, he was getting movement on the guy he was locking up on. So, I mean, by all means, it's not a perfected product. And, it's something to be worked on. I mean, you got to take into account what we were calling, like our play calls on offense. They were more focused on trying to see what the offensive line on all phases when they started switching them out and started getting different players in there to see what they could do in the run. I mean, the pass protection wasn't too bad for a preseason game. I mean, they were not like devouring any quarterback that was out there on the field. So it wasn't like, a dire situation for the quarterbacks. So that's something that was promising. But at the same time, you got to take into account, like when Blue ran the ball. Was it Blue's fault that he wasn't getting yardage, or was it the fact that they weren't opening the holes that they needed for him? And, they used Pope the way he needed to be used. So we saw the explosiveness of what he had. So, I mean, there's a lot of things going forward that they're going to have to test. And we just got to be patient and see what happens.
One thing I want to say real quickly about that line. You notice the difference from when they tried to run power versus when they ran zone. When they ran the zone scheme, stuff was opening up. Stuff was opening up left and right on both sides of the ball. The right guard was looking like early on when they were having serve runs that it looked like it was kind of breaking down, but dudes were able to recover and they were blocking dudes off on the back side so that they couldn't make shoestring tackles. So that was good to see. But outside of that, I noticed the difference from when I tried to run with specific and Tremaine Pope and Miller, were able to be successful due to running out of their zone scheme, and that's what they need to run always instead of trying to run power because it's not working. Hush puppies or is that Kurds?
See, I actually like the way our defense played, and by saying that, if I was a Kansas City Chief fan, I'd be highly concerned. I mean, we talk about offensive line. I'd be highly concerned about the way the Chiefs line played because if my memory serves me correctly, in the front seven, the only true starter who played that game was Zach Cunningham. There was nobody else playing, and they were able to put pressure on the quarterbacks all night long. So I would be concerned if I was a Chiefs fan about their offensive line because you had the Texans backups out there getting pressure, looking like they were legit. Like I know Duke, like you said, Duke looked like he was ready to play when the lights came on, like he was ready, game face on.
I mean, I'm gonna agree with what Fitz said. I mean, that front seven. I mean, our backup front seven was looking nice against that starting Chiefs O line, and I would be concerned if I was a Chiefs fan as well. Another thing that kind of surprised me, I didn't know we had 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Know that?
Yeah, I forgot about old buddy because
Stephen Moore.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They picked him up, and that's unfortunate.
I mean, it's the first preseason game. I mean, it's gonna be vanilla offense. We're not gonna show too many things, so I really don't take too much from like the first preseason game or the second preseason game. It's all about that third preseason game. But we've seen Zach Cunningham and Dylan Cole do their thing. I mean, all I want to see is our starters hold up, stay healthy, and then I want to see the guys that's trying to make the roster actually put in all their effort and try to make this roster because those guys are rotational players that we're going to need going into the season, especially if we deal with a couple of injuries this season.
Okay. All right, we're going to take a couple of more texts here. Then we're going to wrap it up shortly. We're going to my fault for not getting a chance to open up the sauce line, but we have a couple of texts here I want to address. Very good. Oh, where'd it go? Here we go. Says, shout out to the Dynamo for making it to their first ever U.S. Open Cup final. What is the roundtable's thoughts on that? Sincerely, the World Series champ, Hector Flores. P.S. Lakers will be in the playoffs. Where will the Magic be, Spitz?
You see that right there? That's how all y'all eyes are going to be when the Magic make the playoffs. It's just like that. Y'all going to look just like that with the double zeros. Y'all eyes going to be like this when the Magic make the playoffs. They're going to be in the playoffs, baby. Don't worry about it. We got Mo Bamba. We good. But anyway, I'm not really a soccer fan. I mean, hey, go Dynamo because they right here in the city. So go Dynamo. But, I didn't know until I heard on the radio like yesterday that they lost Saturday. But, hey, it is what it is. Go Dynamo. But, yeah.
I've been a Dynamo fan since day one, goddammit. You know, I already knew they was going to make the Open Cup final. I talk about the goddamn Dynamo every day. Y'all just don't be listening. You just got to tune in to the Soft Sports podcast. You know what I'm saying? Because we be talking Dynamo. Now, I don't know shit about the Dynamo. Man.
They should have waited on Hector on this one because I have no comment.
Hector set us up for the okie doke, man. That was Hector texting in. You know we don't know shit about the damn Dynamo. Hector hit the alley loop on us, man, and slam dunked it on us. But, you know, it is what it is, man. Shout out to Hector, man. You know, he had to take care of some stuff. But, hey, you know, always good to have been around. But that was definitely he definitely did hit us with a finagling on that text message there. Got a couple more texts here. We're going to get on these, run through these real quick. We'll do it like the lightning round. We got from Mr. Killer KB. Says, this Mr. Killer KB, I can understand how Melo can help us on offense, but what moves are we making as far as the defense? Do y'all think it's a small chance Melo could be packaged to get Jimmy Butler? Melo's not going to go nowhere. We picked up Ennis to help leverage a little bit. Ennis is a solid defender. So let's not sleep on him because they've had a couple games. He played extremely well on James Harden. And, you know, James Harden is one of the guys that they say is the most unguardable. He made James definitely work for it. So let's not act like, you know, again, here's the thing. Everybody's, you know, kind of upset, we lost a lot of defense in Ariza and Muthaf. That's the national take. When we was talking about this, you know, last year, in a sign and picking up Muthaf. Nobody even mentioned Muthaf throughout the playoffs, throughout the regular season in the national media. Ariza was a name that nobody really discussed that much. But when they leave, that was the Rockets' whole thing. It wasn't about that the Rockets played great defense because everybody's the Rockets are okay at defense. They're all this offensive team. But now all of a sudden we lose our defensive pieces. Now the Rockets are that was their whole spiel. At first when we were playing, it was all offense. They just score a lot of points and they can do that. Now it's the defensive game is lacking because of Ariza and Muthaf missing. But in reality, man, Ennis is a good pickup. You'll find a way to kind of leverage what Carmelo is not going to bring on defensive end, but I think he's going to be all right. So I think it's no concern with that.
And one starter can alter an entire deep when they forget we still got Tucker, when we still got James Harden, who's defense increase. We still got CP3. And who's to say if James Harden can increase, if James Harden's defense can increase with having CP3 on the team, what the hell makes you think he's not going to hold Carmelo to the exact same standard? That's what kills me about these dudes. Hey, please chime in.
Didn't they say the exact same thing last year about like Chris Paul and James Harden can't play together because they both need the ball in their hand? They said the exact same thing last year. It wasn't going to work, and the Rockets were with the best seed in the NBA. They had the best record in the NBA last year, and James Harden was the MVP. But they said the exact same thing. And so now again, fast forward a year, add Melo. This is not going to work. Like, and they talk about the way Melo plays. They said that Melo didn't like coming off the bench in OKC. Well, Melo didn't have a point guard like he has in Chris Paul, and also James Harden, who's a damn good point guard himself. I think he leads the league in assists for the past 3 years. So, like, he's playing with two guys who can get him the ball and going to get him wide open shots.
Yep. The last time Melo had a good point guard was Chauncey Billups, and that was at the end of Chauncey Billups' career in Denver. So, but I know we don't get to test the sauce line, but I got a question. Did y'all see Ngakwe about to fight boys in the Jags practice? Also, did y'all know that Jalen Ramsey and Dante Fowler?
I wanted to speak on that before we got up out of here. That was definitely a very interesting thing. What's going on in Jacksonville? Are things deteriorating with all that talent, all that? I mean, you got people you fighting the dudes on your same position. It's not even like you fighting an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman or a receiver and a DB or something. I mean, you fighting your own position play. What's going on with that? Like, I mean, let's get a quick spiel on that right there.
Well, what probably happened is this with the Dante Fowler thing was this probably somebody was fucking calling him out and trying to pump his nuts up, and his nuts got a little too pumped, and they had to deal with the repercussions. And then with like fucking Jalen Ramsey just, I think he's just feeling himself right now. He's on Twitter. He pops off with people, and his mouth or his fingers got him in trouble because he was feeling a little like Trump, like he could say anything and not get touched. And he got in trouble because, of course, it's the culture of the NFL right now that if you get a little rude with what the NFL calls an official position or the media, then you put a black eye on the fucking NFL, and we can't have you doing that. So the Jags jumped on it and suspended him for a week.
Particular in that situation.
Oh, is Clarence out there?
A week suspension. Oh.
Yeah. Follow to the front.
It's
Clarence. I think it's more so Tom Coughlin flexing his muscles and showing he's in control, similar to like a Bill Belichick type of thing. So he's still trying to show like Jalen Ramsey, like you say, Jalen Ramsey feeling himself too much. I mean, he's the best corner in the game. He's getting all these accolades. I mean, you had 2 corners in the Pro Bowl. You already know that Jalen Ramsey is a mouthy type player. He's still that's Tom Coughlin saying, "Hey, you still work under me. You still under me. I might not be the head coach, but I'm the president of basketball. I'm the president of football operations out there." Which I think is a good sign for the Texans because I can see eventually that being a rip between the two, and them finding a way to get rid of Jalen Ramsey or Jalen Ramsey walking in time.
Jalen Ramsey will always
A quick
have
topic. A quick topic I wanted to bring up was how the Titans secondary was getting lit up by the Packers. I wanted to talk about like how EQ St. Brown was tearing these ass. He was tearing these dudes' ass up. Brett Hundley was going the fuck off against the Titans defense in their little preseason game. We didn't get to touch on that. We'll probably be able to touch on that tomorrow because we're probably running out of time. But like, they tried to pump up Harold Landry. He made a couple of plays, and things like that. But the rest of that defense was looking non-existent. Adams was abusing the hell out of Butler deep. You know what I'm saying? So, and we don't even have to get in the way. I didn't really see much from Adoree Jackson and Logan Ryan, but it doesn't look like they're going to fit the bill this season. And I can't wait to see our defense, our offense trample the fuck out of them again in week 6 or week 3 or whenever the hell we play them. Because this is going to be a rap running machine with a ghost pepper on top.
Wait, that's a one-word answer. Depth. That's a one-word answer for the fucking Titans. Depth.
But here's the deal, man. There's a couple of texts came in, and we're going to wind it down. There's a couple of things that came in. We're going to make sure to address tomorrow because Broderick had a very good point about Akins. I want to make sure to get on and some other things. So I'll make sure I take note of these, and we'll address them earlier on. But we're going to call it a wrap here. And also, man, I did want to get on the Shady McCoy situation. But again, like I said, we're not going to have time to talk about that this evening. But we will address it tomorrow, so make sure y'all tune in to the sauce tomorrow. We will be dripping flavor. We do this every motherfucking evening at 7 o'clock, man. So make sure y'all tune in. We'll see if Clarence will give us the game since he got the inside track on what's going on in the Jazz camp. We're honestly not concerned. We're not concerned about the Jags, but does he know that's the source, the Jag source there? We'll see what's really going on in whatever you call that place. But again, you know what I'm saying? I want to appreciate y'all. I want to say thank y'all, man, for being the freshest motherfucking ingredients. Even if you're not a Texans fan, even if you're not a fan of Houston sports, it's still all love. We still got love for Clarence, too. He come through talking shit, but it's still love. I want to say shout out to all around team. Spitz, always good to see you, man. Wise with the inside track today with all the good shit, you know what I'm saying, that he was able to give us and let us know about directly from practice. Shit talking Titty, the best trash talker in motherfucking me, Texas land. Shout out to Wink, and you know what I'm saying, how it goes down. Always with the good input. You know what I'm talking about. And shout out to the whole motherfucking Fresh Ingredient family, Sauce Nation. You know what I'm saying, y'all the freshest in the motherfucking building, and I appreciate y'all. But we got to call it a wrap, man. We'll be a den at 10, so make sure y'all pull up in that. We'll talk about some interesting things as always. I'll be blaming women for everything according to Heidi. That's what I always do, but I'm usually right about that, so that's just how it goes. But with that being said, we're going to talk about the deuce. Y'all be cool like y'all be cool, man. Check out that StaySaucy.com. Get you some of that Fresh Sauce Sports merch, man. But with that being said, we out. Y'all be cool.